Welcome back to Flashpoint. This week, at least 3 mayors getting voted out of office. In Gastonia, Republican candidate Richard Franks ousting Walker Reed, who was first elected to the role back in 2017. In Dallas, a Gaston County high school teacher, Haley Beatty, unseating incumbent Rick Coleman by a margin of 2-1. And in Waxhaw, Robert Murray's ascension to power in large response to a push from the current administration to grow the town. Joining us now is Waxhaw Mayor-elect Robert Murray. Mayor-elect, congrats on the win.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
All right, so you've unseated current Mayor Ronald Pappas. What do you think is behind your ascension?
That's an interesting question. I could very easily talk about, a message of hope, a promise of bringing change and that type of stuff. But as someone who's relatively new in town, I think it's really the sad truth is that it was a matter of anger. I think the town was very frustrated in the direction that the town was going. There is a lot of positive things that the current administration has done for the town. However, there's just this feeling of massive growth that's been happening in town. Basically rapid growth, a push towards higher density housing, trying to shoehorn developments into neighborhoods that were formerly, a house per acre or 2 houses per acre, trying to get anywhere from 5 to 6 units per acre into those types of neighborhoods. So when the current administration took office in 2019, they redid the whole land use map in 2020 and 2021 during the pandemic, really. And as a result of that, they've put it into action, and they put it into action with a lot of zeal and a lot of haste. And I think people are seeing that in effect. They're seeing it in action, and as a result, they've been frustrated by it. They're not entirely happy with how the current town leadership has been pushing towards this higher density housing, this idea of sort of urban centers where you have literally apartment buildings and townhouses and mixed use right by the downtown, which is an area that's already stricken with excessive amounts of traffic. That's, we're talking gridlock, both morning and evening commute through very small roads in a very charming downtown. And then to just pack higher density into that same region, a lot of folks have been frustrated by it. So I think in all honesty, I think it's that frustration that really drove our victory. We definitely were effective in our messaging of hope and change to maybe tap the brakes on development and growth and ensure that we have a more stable plan for growth, and also to ensure that that growth doesn't exceed the interests of the people that are there now, the residents that are there now. It's one thing to make a new community for a lot of new residents, but you always have to consider the existing residents as well. And I think that's where some of the frustration came from, is that a lot of the existing residents didn't feel like their pushback was being heard. Their pushback in opposition to some of the higher density developments that have been going on around town. So I think as a result, the people have spoken, and their opinion has been made very clear at this point, because our message resonated so well, of stable growth, stable taxes, and residents first.
You're part of this group of candidates that helped unseat several incumbents with turnout up over the last election. You alluded to 2019 and also alluding to previous leadership and how they went wrong.
Exactly. We were very proud of the fact that we saw a 66% increase in turnout. I think those numbers in and of themselves are very impressive, just to have that much engagement. So I think it was definitely an exciting result to see that much engagement from the people and to know that the message was resonating so well.
Evidently, biggest challenge there facing Waxhaw, development seems to be one of the themes, if not the most important theme that resonates within the community. Is there room for growth then in the town?
There's room for growth, but I think it needs to be more reasonable growth. And that's where the push from the community has been, is a reasonable approach to growth. The town is traditionally built around planned communities and then old rural farms and farmhouses. A lot of the farmland's been chopped up, and now there's sort of smaller lots, but they're still, half to 3/4 to 1 acre lots. And then the planned communities, they have densities anywhere from 1 house per acre to maybe 2.5 homes per acre. And what's striking people is this push towards 5 and 6 and 8. The development code, it allows for as much as 12 homes per acre. And a lot of the residents see that as being very different from what they view Waxhaw as. People don't see it as a town of townhomes and apartments. They see it as a town that's less densely populated with that lower density. And the current plan that was put together by the previous administration kind of changes the definition of medium density and high density. They're basically claiming that, 2 homes per acre is medium density, and that, 3 or 4 homes per acre is actually high density. And the reality is we kind of consider this 2 homes, 4 homes per acre as for more medium density, and that's kind of where we should be stopping. There's room to grow, but it needs to be reasonable growth. That growth needs to fit within the confines of the town as it exists, which is a small road going in and a small road going out. We have a fixed number of schools. We have a fixed amount of support we get from the county, both from a sewer capacity and from a school capacity. And we need to develop within those confines and not just overshoot where we're at today when it comes to our resources and our infrastructure. And a lot of people are feeling that we've done that. We're overshooting things. We're exceeding our limits of capacity when it comes to a lot of these other resources and infrastructures around town. So people see that, they recognize it, and I think they've been frustrated by it for the last few years, and they spoke.
Yep. And then as your first order of business, what do you see as the town's biggest need right now?
The town's biggest need really is to kind of tap the brakes on some of the development. Again, the town is actually in really good shape, and I do give credit to the current administration for putting us in a very solid position financially with the town management and the actual employees within the town. It's really a top-notch group, and it's really well run, but I think we need to tap the brakes on some of these developments. There are several developments that are already in the pipeline. We have just over 1,400 homes that are permitted to go up. And I think the first order of business is to kind of prevent that from becoming another 1,400 in the next year, and then 1,400 after that in another 2 or 3 years. So I think tapping the brakes a little bit on that speed of development, that density of development is sort of the first order of business.
All right, Mayor-elect Robert Murray, thank you for joining us. Thanks again, and congratulations.
Thank you.
Still to come on Flashpoint, the new CMS board member breaking barriers.